Okay, so week 5 is listen to yourself. Most of us ask other people what they think of events, feelings, and problems in our lives, but we often forget to ask ourselves what we think. Right? So our initial response to questions, I know I used to go and reach out a lot when I was uncertain about what path to take, and I would go to someone who I thought was like respected in the community as far as that topic. So I would go and I would pick their brain and I'd ask the questions, I'd wait for the answer, and sometimes I was like, I don't know if that answer really resonates with me. I don't know if that's really actually the correct answer. Is it possible that this person does not really know? Or maybe they know and it's just not right for me. I mean, doctors can be like that. We can't assume that everybody has all the answers because they don't. Everybody's a human being. Everybody. No matter what their job role is. Okay, so we want to identify something you need to decide and ask your own opinion. What do you think about whatever is happening in your life? Okay, so it's asking you to identify something that you need to decide. Whether it is maybe a job choice, or how to get a job, or a living situation, or how to find a roommate, or how to get finances to start a business, or golly, it could be as simple as what method you want to rearrange the house. I mean, sometimes you have to move something to get something to be able to fit there. Then once you've moved that other thing, it just creates a whole big mess, right? Sometimes messes get big before they can get sorted out. It's just the way it is sometimes. I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes that's true. So what we need to do is identify something that we need to decide, and we need to ask ourselves, what do you think about whatever is happening in your life? What do you think about that? So let's just say I have a dog that's barking. And I've tried and tried and tried. Every single time being consistent and explaining to the dog, no barking. I mean, that's important to me, that the dog is respectful of, not causing noise pollution. We don't need that. So I train my dogs not to bark if they are natural barkers. I do not want to use a shock collar. That's just not in my forte. So I'll ask myself, what do I think about my dog barking? Well, I think that it kind of bothers me. I think that it scares passerbys because they're not expecting this dog to bark, and I don't want to scare anybody. I don't want to cause any stress or unnecessary stress for anyone. So that's what I think about it. So I guess I should ask myself, what is it that I'm going to do about that situation, right? Well, I think I'll go online and I will do some research. Maybe there's trainers who are on YouTube and maybe they have some insight of things that I haven't tried. Maybe there's products out on the market that are not shock collars. Maybe it's just sound waves. I know that from personal experience because I am training a dog not to be a barker. There is a little house I found on Amazon. It's a little house, literally a little house. And you just put a battery in it and it projects the sound that the dogs can hear when they start barking, so that way it just stops them. They don't like the sound, so they're like, oh, that sound. When I bark, that sound happens. I don't want to bark. So it's been really kind of helpful for my little Chihuahua that I've had, and she doesn't bark as often. Actually, rarely if she is around that box. So, I mean, these are the things that we want to go over as far as making our decisions. If it helps, just say, okay, who, what, where, when, and how. And then you can think about all the methods of how we find information. Is it going to the library? I know, old school, right? Oh my goodness. But sometimes having that concrete book in your hand is a lot more relatable than it is when it's online. Maybe I'm just old school. But I actually like to have hard copy books in front of me so I can read, turn the page, read, and you can make notes if it's your book, not if it's the library book, versus it being online. For some reason, online for me is just like, ooh, how am I going to make note of this? You can have a notebook next to you, make your list or whatnot. You could always go back to it. But for some reason, when I read something in a book versus online, I know I just said that, it's just a lot more helpful for me. So that would be on the list though. I'm going to go to the library to do research. I can ask people's opinions, their insight, their knowledge on certain topics. I can go online, as I said. You can go to YouTube videos. Mind you, just because, and this goes for all of the avenues of whichever way that you want to, whichever route you want to take in order to find your information, still get the information confirmed, because it's like you never know if these things are true or not. And I'm not trying to put doubt in anyone's mind, but you have to have some common sense in some of the things and check in with yourself. And that's the whole point of the exercise. Check in with yourself. Does this piece of information seem true to me? Does this piece of information make sense to me? And then you have to go from there. I do have to give a disclaimer though. Sometimes, like when people are talking about supposed conspiracy theory, some of those conspiracy theories have ended up being true. So with that said, sometimes when someone's in just a place of denial, and that could be you, I mean, I've been there. When you're in a place of denial, it's going to take a few times for you to kind of revisit that topic in order to open yourself up to even accept new information about that topic, right? Mine happened, and I'm sorry if it's a trigger warning for anyone, or I'm sorry if it is a trigger for anyone. This is a warning. I was in a situation where someone did something to me, and I completely forgot about it. I'm like, are you kidding? I didn't remember it happened until I went back and read my journal, and it was in my journal. Now, mind you, that journal has now been displaced by that person who had done that, but that's okay. I have the memory of it happening because it ended up repeating itself, and that's why it's just like, you know what? This happened twice now, and it's not all right, and it's not something that I condone. It's not something I want to be a part of, and it's just not something that I'm going to accept for myself. So with that said, it took a couple times for me to realize that it was indeed something that had happened. So that's where I'm going with that. Granted, a lot of decisions are not that serious. I guess that's an easy decision for some people, but just depends on how you're raised, right? Your sensitivity levels, your ability to handle trauma and things like that. Okay, I'm sorry, I completely rambled. If you want, just what is it called? Fast forward the tape or something. All right, now write the pros and cons about your decision. All the good things about it, all the bad things about it. You'll want to review your pros and cons. What do you think is most important in those? What worries you about it? What do you feel good about it? What is your best option? Right? Which one is the best option to go with? And then there you go. So with that said, I wanted to thank you. That's the end of week 5. I'm going to go ahead and get right into week 6. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.